record this. See the waiting room. It all. There we go. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. Is that audio terrible? Can someone tell me if the audio is?
It's fine.
Is it all right?
It's good.
Okay.
Good, Liz.
I heard a lot of feedback when I started talking, so I didn't know. Okay, so somebody tell me if this is unbearable. All right, so what we had today, it seemed to me, was a lot of shape on hands. I think we'll focus the discussion on how to bid the shapely hands. And I'm going to kind of go through and just kind of bid the hands that had the shape. If anything occurs to you to talk about, either raise your hand if you're on video or throw something into the chat. Other than that, we've got about 40 minutes to talk, and I'm just going to go through these shapely hands. All right, so board one was kind of an interesting one right out of the chute. We had pass, and east is a hand I would actually consider opening this hand two clubs despite the fact that it's two suited. And I've talked before about be very careful about opening two suited hands with two clubs. I think I would still open it one club, but if you open two clubs on this hand, I don't have a problem with that just because it's got so much defense and it's such a good hand. The one thing I want to try and stress to you, well, two things. First of all, the likelihood that this goes all pass is not very high when you have a singleton spade in particular. So I think even if you open a club and your partner passes somehow, you're probably going to get saved most of the time. Okay, and I'm opening one club here more because I don't want to preempt myself out of bidding space. I'm a little bit worried. Like, one of the tests about whether you open two clubs on shapely hands is, would you be scared if partner passed that you're missing a game? And yes, I would be on this one. Somewhat mitigating that fear is I don't think there's really any reasonable shot that this goes one club, pass, pass, pass when I'm 6'5". So let's go down the one club route for a minute. If you open two clubs, the problem is partner bids two diamonds, and say you bid three clubs now. Like, I'm just not sure how we're ever comfortably finding hearts. Or it could go two clubs, two diamonds, and you bid two hearts. But partner's never going to get the idea that you have six clubs behind that, right? It's such a good hand that I don't want to distort the lengths of the two suits. Okay, so let's say we open a club. And let's say that South overcalls a diamond, just for kicks. And I'm not saying this next part to embarrass anyone or anything like that, but something that happened at our table was West bid two diamonds. And what two diamonds always ought to mean here is I have a invitational or better hand with support for my partner. So here, invitational plus with clubs, it's not Michael's. Okay, there was some confusion about that at our table. So if you've actually got this West hand, I think what I would do is just start with, a spade. I certainly want to bid, despite the fact that I got 5 points. I'm 5-5 in the majors. So I certainly want to bid. And I'm going to start with the higher ranking 5-card suit and come back in with the lower ranking 5-card suit later on. And one spade should be absolutely forcing here, right? As North, I think I would probably show my partner that I had a nice hand with diamonds. Okay, and you could do that by Q-bidding the opponent's suit. Now, if you're East here, even though North has, first of all, there's an awful lot of bidding going on for as much hand as we have. If you bid two hearts here, this should still be a reverse, right? It's as if the auction went a club by you, a spade by your partner, and you came back with 2 hearts. It's the same exact thing. You're still forcing your partner to potentially take a preference at the 3 level, right? And he might not have that much hand for a 1 spade bid, particularly if your opponents are sound citizens and they've overcalled and shown a good support hand with North. 2 hearts here, really, it should still be a reverse, and it should be absolutely forcing for 1 round, regardless of whether they've bid diamonds and raised diamonds or if our opponents had passed. This 2 heart bid should be 100% forcing for 1 round. And that's part of why, if we can be confident that 2 hearts here is forcing for 1 round, that's part of the justification for not feeling like we need to open the hand 2 clubs to begin with, is that we know if we can get partner to chirp on the first round, we can continue forcing with natural calls. So like my 2 heart bid here is I have more clubs than hearts, and I have a very good hand. A minimum shape 5-4, minimum points somewhere in the 16 to 17 type range. Okay. And what's probably going to happen is it goes pass. We've talked before about methods for responder to use over a reverse, but one of the principles is that if you support either of your partner's suits at the 3 level here, if you bid 3 hearts, this ought to be forcing. There's no way partner can dump you in 2 hearts. You've got enough hand to make a game opposite her reverse values and at least 4 hearts. And I think kind of East could just bid like Blackwood here. And when partner doesn't show up with the ace of spades, you can bid 6 hearts. 6 hearts is, there's not much to the play. Make 6 hearts, you're just off the ace of spades. So that's what it would go like. If West had a hand that wanted to slow down, we've talked about using the cheaper of, like always rebidding your suit is 5 cards, and it promises, it's forcing for 1 round. If you don't have 5 spades, I suggest using the cheaper of 2 no trump and the 4th suit to be the stop. But here we actually have, a really good hand for support, supporting partner. And if we raise to the 3 level in one of their suits, that should set up a game force. So in this auction, there should be no debate about whether 3 hearts is passable or not. It's not. And, if you're East and you reason, look, my partner's willing to force to game, and for all she knows, I only have 4 hearts, and guess what? I actually have a 5th, and guess what? I actually have a hand that's way bigger than I might have had for a reverse. Like, it's at least an extra ace more than you might need for a reverse. And you've got all the suits controlled. Like, you're not off 2 cards in any suit. I think you just bid Blackwood. When partner shows 0, you bid 6 hearts. Okay. All right, moving on. That one was not interesting. This one was not particularly interesting. Okay, let's go to 4. Couple things about this one. North has a very nice hand, and it goes 1 spade. A lot, I guess West passes first. Let's get that out of the way. And let me change my settings here to not confirm this so that we can go faster. Okay, North bids a spade. I think the right idea with the East hand is to double. I think most people did that. At our table, there was a very strong player sitting East who actually didn't double. So that tells me it's certainly reasonable. Let's stick with that auction for just a second. Let's say it goes a spade pass. And I think you want to chirp with the south hand. Your only choice is 1 no trump. It would be my strong suggestion that you don't play 3 clubs here as a preempt. Like, I can't think of any spots where I want to preempt my partner after she's open. So if you're playing 3 clubs as a preempt here, I would maybe reconsider that and just go down the path of I want to bid, so I'm just going to start with one no. And kind of your basic plan is whatever partner bids next at the 2 level, you're going to bid 3 clubs. And the message ought to be just, I have a garbage hand with a bunch of clubs. If I really had a good hand with clubs, you would have heard 2 clubs the first time around. So that's the basic plan with these types of hands. And I think North has enough to bid 3 hearts here. Let's talk about the 3 heart bid for a second, because I've seen some weird stuff on jump shift auctions recently. This 3 heart bid should be game forcing. Okay, it's not. This commits us to at least 3 no trump. And when we've got 5-5 in the majors, we're probably even going to go ahead and bid 4 hearts, even if partner were to bid 3 no trump. But the 3 heart bid is not passable. Again, you can't reason as South that I'm embarrassed about my response of 1 no trump the first time, because technically I only have 5 points. Once you've committed to chirping the first time, you can't then like catch up by passing forcing bids. And the 3 heart bid is 100% forcing. Okay. And I think, spades or hearts is going to be trumps at this point. I think the idea is we just want to take a preference back to 3 spades and play 4 spades. It's not going to be all that great. We're off, a club, a diamond, and a couple of trumps for down 1. Say you did bid 4 clubs here. I kind of don't like this as just a natural bid. I think this should actually maybe be a Q bid. But say you did that. North would bid 4 hearts. It's always important in situations like these, even when you don't like the route that the auction is taken. Like as South here, you're kind of sick. You don't like anything that's happened exactly, but do remember to take partner back to the longer trump fit. Okay, there's no way that North has more hearts than spades on this auction. If North had something like 6 hearts and 5 spades, the opening bid would have been a heart. So, even if everything's gone garbage, you've still got to take the preference back to 4 spades at this point. All right, let us see. Board 5. Board 5 was not interesting. Board 6 was interesting. Okay, this one went pass. Spade by South. Double by West looks completely normal. I held the North cards. It's pretty important that you show a fit here, particularly at this vulnerability where you're white on red. So if this were an uncontested auction, I might be tempted not to take a call with the North hand just because it's so lousy. But here we have 9 trumps, and we can anticipate that the auction's about to get competitive because they've made a takeout double on our right. I think the best thing that you can do here is bid 2 spades. Okay. And it went 3 hearts. And my partner competed to 3 spades, which is the right idea because she's got an extra trump. Remember from her perspective, North has only promised 3 trumps, but she's got 6. You're bidding 3 spades in an auction like this just competitively. In other words, the only thing you were saying is, I want to play 3 spades. I find that more attractive than defending against 3 hearts. And it's because I have an extra trump. It's because I know that we have 9 trumps. So like this 3 spade bid, it is not constructive. It doesn't invite partner to bid 4 spades. And the other thing is, like, it's always got to be based on shape. In other words, this 3 spade bid should always show a 6 spade, maybe a heart void and 5 really good spades, but it speaks to the extra shape of the hand. It's not a 11 points versus 12 or 13 or 14 or 15 points type bid, and it's not inviting partner to continue. So what happened from there was West went ahead and bid 4 hearts, pretty reasonably so. Extra values for the takeout double. Has a 4th heart, has the points over the opening bidder, certainly more than you might have made the takeout double to begin with. And at this point, I went ahead and bid 4 spades as north. I do have a 4th spade, and I'm taking advantage of the vulnerability. And also, there's kind of a maxim of, whenever you think it's close, it tends to be the case that you should bid 4 spades over 4 hearts. Here, I know that we've got 10 trumps because I'm counting on my partner to have 6 for her 3 spade bid. I'm not vulnerable; they're vulnerable. So I'm going to put some pressure on them here. Like if they think that they had 4 hearts coming, they're going to be under some pressure to maybe do the wrong thing in bidding 5 hearts, or maybe they double us and don't get the value of their heart game. They've got to be really scared, though, that they had 620 coming in 4 hearts, and they're going to be tempted to bid 5 hearts here. The only way this 4 spade bid really could lose is if both contracts are going down. And I'm willing to take the risk that that's not the case when we have 10 trumps and the auctions like this. That ends the competitive aspect from north-south part of this discussion. Let's now talk about forcing pass. I see people still continuing to either be confused by this or not get the logic or something. So let's go over this. If you are east-west in this auction, you're vulnerable. When you are vulnerable, you don't make bids like 4 hearts thinking that it's a like when we bid vulnerable games or vulnerable anything really for that matter, at the top of the reason we're doing that is we think that the contract's going to make. And the reason that is because our opponents have a pretty good defense to anything we bid when we're vulnerable. That's namely double. Okay? Anytime we get out of line and we're vulnerable, we're offering our opponents plus 200 if they just double us and beat us 1. And the thing about 200, that's called the magic score at match points. And the reason it's magic is because it's going to beat any part score that your opponents could have made. Okay, so if you were slated to go minus 140 or minus 110 and all of a sudden you get out of line vulnerable, they double you and beat you 1, you've lost all your equity on the deal because all of a sudden you're minus 200 and you lose to all those scores. This is a very long-winded way, and I'm always trying to get you guys to understand the justification for things instead of just memorizing some rule. If these things are the case, we don't make bids like 4 hearts thinking that they're not going to make, okay? Because if we're just in there goofing around, our opponents hammer us, get us 200 or 500, and we get a big old 0 on the board. That being the case, if we were bidding 4 hearts with the full intention that it had a very high likelihood of making, we cannot sit for 4 spades undoubled. We can't collect 50 a trick against 4 spades when we already signed on the dotted line saying, I think we probably have 620 on this. I mean, I hope that just makes sense. Therefore, when East passes in an auction like this, the pass isn't literally, I think that defending 4 spades undoubled is an option. The pass is, look, partner, you and I both know by virtue of your bidding 4 hearts vulnerable that what we are trying to do as a team at this point is decide whether it's right to double them in 4 spades or to go ahead and bid 5 hearts ourselves. Those are the 2 menu options. There's not a third menu option called it just goes all pass from here. So when East passes here, this pass right here, that's, I don't know, I'm kicking the decision back to you. Not because I'm a weenie who doesn't want to take accountability for anything, but because my hand could work on defense and it could work on offense. Neither one is like jumping out at me. So what I'm going to do is kick this back to you. And as West here, if you feel like you've kind of already said all you've got to say and there's no extra shape to talk about, I don't think there is. Like you've already made a takeout double and raised 3 hearts to 4 hearts. I think you've sort of spoken to all your shape, and your default action here should just be double. Like when we get into these forcing pass auctions, the default, especially if we're going to have to be bidding at the 5 level to bid our own contract, the default should be double. Okay, there should need to be overriding evidence that bidding 5 hearts is right to reject double. And that's how this auction should continue from there. What actually happened at our table was 4 spades, pass, pass, pass. And I just want to impress on you, like, it's not logically consistent to bid 4 hearts and then sell out to 4 spades undoubled on this auction. If we do a quick double dummy here and like look at the leads, right? Everything's got a red 2 or 3 by it. And you were making 4 hearts, I think. You're off a diamond, the club finesse is working, the trumps are 3-2. You were making 5 hearts, it turns out. You cannot settle for down 3 or down 2 undoubled, not vulnerable here. It doesn't make any sense. And once we can get to that point, that's where we can start talking about forcing passes. All right, that hand's beaten to death, maybe. Let's see, 7. Oh yeah, yep. Well, this one was interesting too. Continuing on the theme of shape.
Excuse me, whoever's coughing, can they turn off their mic?
Yeah, if basically everybody should be muted as default here. Yeah, unless you've got something to say, please, and you know how to do it, please mute yourself. Okay, board 7. Let's talk about what to do with the West hand if it goes pass. Full disclosure, if it were me sitting south, it wouldn't be going pass. I would be opening a heart on this hand, I believe. Let's do our loser count. 4.5, 7.5. I don't know, this might be pushing it, but it's 11 balanced. I think I would be opening the south hand. But let's go down a road of pass in front. You have 7-5 shape. You've got a 5-card major and a 7-card minor here. And you have like a ton of offense. You have 1 to 2.5 to 3 losers. Like you're off the black aces and you're maybe off the heart queen, but maybe partner has it, or maybe partner has a heart fit. Like we're honestly not that far away from making a slam here. Like give partner the queen of hearts and a black ace, and we've got a slam. And that's a 6 count for partner. So I hope you can see that this is just a gigantic offensive hand. If we play in clubs, we don't even need clubs from partner, really. Like we can play this club suit opposite a void most of the time for 1 loser, right? If the trumps break 4-2, we've only got 1 loser, even if partner puts down a club void. This all being said, open this hand 1 club. And then we're going to bid hearts, and we're going to bid hearts again. And it's important that partner know we actually have more clubs than hearts here. Like 6 clubs could easily be the target for this hand. You know, so the idea is if partner say bids a spade, we come back with 2 hearts. That's got to be forcing for 1 round. Whatever partner does next, we come back with 3 hearts, yada, yada, yada. Okay, but with 7-5 and a hand this good, definitely be opening a club and reversing into hearts. All right, more to get to. I think we're at about the 15-minute mark, so we're going to move ahead to another hand. What next? 8 was not interesting. 9 was not interesting. Oh, let's say something about 9 actually. Okay, this just went 1 no trump float against us, and I was actually sitting east. Let's talk quickly about what I'm leading here. Here are a couple of thoughts. When it goes one no trump float, you should be thinking that probably everyone at the table has something resembling a balanced hand. Like if your partner had any shape in the pass out seat, especially when the opponents are white, not vulnerable, she probably would have bid something. So you're probably looking at a flat hand. Also in this auction, like I can't remember the last time I led a minor against this auction. If I led a minor against this auction, it was just something super obvious, like king, queen, jack, 10, fifth, or, something like that. If I've got ace empty fourth of clubs and ace third of diamonds here, like you just can't pay me enough to lead a minor and think that that's right. So that being said, I would actually tend to lead my shorter major here in a situation where I know that my partner's got some values. How do I know that my partner's got values? Well, the opponents didn't sniff game, which means they're somewhere in the 15 to 23 point range, which means that the defense has between 17 and 25. I have 8. That leaves my partner like a minimum of 9 points. So the defensive attributes are probably split with my partner having actually probably a few more high card points. And what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and set up the hand that's got more entries. And I always want to be trying to hit a 5-card suit potentially. What's the best chance for a 5-card suit in my partner's hand? Hearts, like by far. Okay, the opponents don't have majors because they didn't use garbage Stamen. They didn't transfer. I'm going to lead the 9 of hearts on an auction like this. Okay, not the 5 of clubs. And my second choice is lead a spade. And the way I like to play is if you lead from like 5, 4, 3 deuce against 1 no trump, you actually lead the second highest to tell your partner you don't have anything in the suit. Okay. Anyway, just a couple ideas there for you on leading. Let's go to 11. Yeah, 10 was not interesting. Okay, this is a couple of tips on the auction and an opening lead thing. South opened a diamond. That looks 100% normal. Pass. And what North has here is, in my mind, a game-forcing hand. Okay, I would commit to a game with this hand. If you agree with me on the committing to a game thing, I'm going to go ahead and bid my longer suit here. So when I have a game-forcing hand, I'm basically just bidding my longer suits first. So rather than bid a heart on this hand, I'm going to bid 2 clubs. Not because I'm worried that I have to set up a force immediately, but because if I know that we're going to game eventually anyway, I'm going to start with my longer suit and come back later on perhaps with my 4-card suits. There's not, there's no danger in doing this. You guys
drove it, so
you can still recover a 4-4 heart fit after a start like this to the auction. So my recommendation would be 2 clubs with the north hand. Let's go down the path of what actually happened. It was just a heart, 2 diamonds, 3 clubs. And 3 clubs, it's a new suit at the 3 level by responder. It's got to be forcing the game, basically. And notice now that if you anticipate that the auction's going to go like this, the problem is you've distorted your heart and club lengths. You've sold the idea that, okay, we're at the 10-minute mark. You've sold the idea that you have longer hearts than clubs here. And that's not what we want to do, particularly with our strong hands. So it went past, and I imagine South just kind of shrugged and did 3 no trump. What are we going to lead here? Oh, they bid hearts and clubs and diamonds. And I've actually got enough points as West that, I can tell my partner doesn't really rate to have that great a hand. Like if my opponents have at least 25 here and I've got 8, that gives my partner like a maximum of 7. So I'm going to lead top of the suit that they didn't bid here. And this is actually going to hit a big home run. So we're leading the unbid suit. We're leading top of a doubleton. And there are some situations where I might consider, one thing going against the spade lead is that my partner didn't overcall spades. But if you get to the point in the analysis where you can figure out your partner doesn't have that much of a hand, we can go back and lead spades more confidently, because maybe the reason they didn't overcall spades was just because not enough hand to do so. And if we look at our double dummy for these opening leads, you'll see that the 10 of diamonds is the only card that lets the contract through. Everything else is down 1, and the spades are down 2. So full marks to partner here for leading the 9 of spades. Got back in with the diamond, put the second spade on the table. Everything was great. Let's go on to board 13, which is a hand where I rat out myself. Upload the other table. Yeah. Suffice it to say that we got to 6 spades on this deal, which is a pushy but not impossible contract. This is not how we got to 6 spades, by the way, but I just want to show you something about the play. When the smoke cleared, East was playing 6 spades, and South led the ace of hearts. Let's back up one trick here. Let's go to our double dummy again. Remember, if you want to use the double dummy to analyze leads or plays that you made, it's just options, the little ladder thing, show double dummy. And you can see that like club leads lead to down and all the other leads lead to making. But I want to, this one's about the power of spots and what I was thinking on this hand. We're going to hide this again. The ace of hearts is what actually got led, and here was my thought process. I've got to count up to 12, so let's count my tricks. I have 5 trump tricks. I have the queen jack of hearts for 7. I have the ace of clubs for 8. I have the ace king of diamonds for 9, 10. I have a diamond ruff for 11, and that's 1 shy. If the hearts are 4, 3, I can get an extra heart trick, right? But the problem is I won't be able to draw the trump and end up in the dummy. Like if I ruff a diamond for one of my tricks, now I can't pull the trump ending in the dummy. However, there was one possibility that I neglected, and that was actually that with North holding the 10, 9, 8 of hearts, and that's the only 4-3 distribution that will allow you to score 4 heart tricks here, the offense actually has 4 hearts. Okay, because the first trick is going to go ace, 3, 8, king. On the second and third round of hearts, the queen jack are going to smush the 10, 9, and the 7, 6 are going to be good. So with the trumps breaking here, and the hearts, specifically 10, 9, 8, I had 12 tricks and just didn't go down that road because, I mean, I noticed it could be the case. But it seemed, anti-percentage that 10, 9, 8 would actually be out there. Anyway, that's the power of the 7 of hearts talk. And, yep, I went down 1 like a big dummy. Let's go to, we're at 5 minutes, so moving along here. Let's go to, oh, this was kind of crazy interesting. 17. This one went 3 clubs. I was sitting east. I have a pretty decent hand, but like I certainly can't come in at the 3 level. This is not enough hand. I passed. As South, you could maybe bid 3 spades here for a different reason. Realize that if you bid 3 spades, it's forcing. So if you want to bid 3 spades, just kind of to see if partner could raise to 4 spades, because you kind of know that the person on your left is sitting with a big hand and a ton of hearts. How's that? Well, we don't have much hand. Our partner doesn't have much hand. Righty didn't have enough to chirp, and I don't have a heart in sight. I can kind of predict that there's a big hand with heart sitting on my left. So if I want to bid 3 spades here, kind of as a tricky bid, like to see if partner can support spades, or failing that, potentially I'll just bid 5 clubs or pass 4 clubs or something, depending on how the auction develops. Realize that if you bid 3 spades on the first round, it is forcing, forcing, forcing. So you could do that tactically. You could also just raise clubs. Like I think that maybe I just jam it in with 5 clubs at this point. What actually happened was pass. My partner bid 4 hearts. And remember, this is a good hand. We never have to preempt preempts. So 4 hearts is actually a better hand than, say if you bid 3 hearts in a situation like this. It went pass. And I was actually like a little bit scared that we were missing a slam here, right? Because I do have king, queen, jack, 10, 5th of a side suit, and queen, 4th of trumps. Eventually, I contented myself with pass. And now South came out of the woods and bid 4 spades. It went pass, I think, right? Yeah, it went pass. And it's back to me. And although I guess technically this isn't a forcing pass situation, it almost is, because your right-hand opponent preempted and your left-hand opponent didn't say anything and then backed in later and your partner showed values. So it's not really on the table that we ever pass 4 spades here. The question is, do we double, or do we bid 5 hearts, or do we maybe get fancy and bid 5 diamonds, like on the way to 5 hearts? And partner probably realizes that we don't mind playing hearts because we passed hearts the first time. What I eventually decided to do was bid 5 hearts. That would have been a maker. We're just off the ace of clubs and the ace of diamonds. But actually that did not happen. But no, South was not done yet and bid 6 clubs. And like there's not anything in the world that East-West can do about this to recover a match point score here. Like if we go to the other tables, you will see that East-West made 450s and 480 and 980. When the auction goes the way that I've got up on the board right now, there's nothing left for East-West to do except shrug and double and get it 300 for the same 0. But there's nothing you can't bid 6 hearts at this point because you're off the ace of diamonds and the ace of clubs. So what we've got here is what's called the par contract, is 6 clubs doubled. And it's just, good job for North-South and tough luck for East-West here that they pushed you into a spot where there's really no ever recovering any of the match points on this one, unfortunately. We are down to a minute. I think that was kind of the end of the interesting hands. And even if it weren't, we're running out of time. Anyway, so a couple ideas. Be careful about opening 2 clubs with 2 suited hands. It's usually a better idea to open your longer suit and then reverse into your other suit. And go back and watch the videos about how to respond to reverses. I think there's some pretty good ideas about that. And once you feel confident about reverse auctions, that's going to take the pressure off your 2 club openings, which is something you want to do with 2 suited hands. In general, we're bidding our longer suits before our shorter suits with strong hands. And that concept of a forcing pass, where if you can logically understand that you were bidding a vulnerable game to make, we can't now accept 50 a trick later on. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed your Friday game and the Friday